Hey,
Hey, I'm George from MovieWeb. How are you, Michael?
I'm pretty good. How's it going?
Good. Very exciting to be here talking with you. I've read so much of your work. I'm sure a lot of
Oh,
people are huge fan. It's incredible what you've done.
well, thank you. Thanks a lot.
I am an Angelino, so I wanted to start by asking you, this show takes us to a different part of LA than you usually explore, West LA, which is also where I'm from. So I'm curious about this character, Ballard, the show, and West LA as the setting, as opposed to the other parts of Los Angeles you've explored, and how that changes the whole kind of setup.
Yeah, well, I mean, we started the show. We didn't know like Bosch would be coming to an end when we started the show, but whether it was going to come to an end or not, we really felt, they're part of the same universe, but we can't overlap. We got to overlap as least as possible. And when we were making Bosch for a long time, we had this idea that we would not go west of La Brea, and so with Ballard, it was like, let's not go east of La Brea. Let's show. It's a vast place, Los Angeles. It's so varied, so interesting. Let's continue what we're doing with Bosch in terms of bringing the real LA to our viewers, but let's get out to the beach. By virtue of the books, Harry's a guy who sits on his back porch at night and looks down at the dark city, and that's where he finds solace. Well, we wanted Ballard, I wanted her, and this is what I do in the books, is put her on a surfboard and put her on the water, and that's where she restores herself. And that alone, look at that change, to go from the brooding Bosch over like a Batman overlooking a dark neon lit city to a woman on a surfboard. Big change, but within the same world. So that was, what we were going for.
Yeah, I love that. I want to ask you because we're talking about Bosch. Um, Titus, I spoke to Titus a while ago about Bosch. He said a couple times you and he were in interviews and you were like, I think we've lost him in Bosch. Like they've become kind of one to some degree or they've merged. Can you talk a little bit about his relationship to this character you've created and continue to create together? And also, if you want to see a future or where you'd see it with Titus and with Bosch or separately.
Yeah, I mean, we've had an amazing run. Like, who would have thought that we would get 10 seasons, 98 episodes? And so, on the course of that, I think he can't help but take the character. I mean, he's the owner of the character. I still write books about Bosch, but he's Harry, and he has all the nuances. And when we would film, he just knew what Harry would do. I mean, he was a real partner in terms of the scripts and everything else. And it's pretty amazing. And now, he's going to be in Ballard on occasion. I think he's in 4 episodes of the first season, and hopefully he'll be back in future seasons if we get him. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I hope that our time working together is not over, whether it's more Bosch or something else. He was involved in a dramatic podcast I did last year, with a completely different character. And there's some noise about developing that as a TV show, and that would be fun because he actually plays a writer. So maybe he can not only be Bosch, but he can also be me.
You
So
should like the merging continues.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I hope we're friends for life. That's for sure. And I've benefited so much from his hard work and good work on the Bosch shows.
I love that. Well, you're both such great guys. Like I get it, but I'm curious to hear when you talk about how you still write him, but he is him. At some point, when you're writing books about him, did he become in your brain? Was it him, and it had been something else once? Like when you were seeing the character, like internally.
Yes and no. It's kind of weird because the Bosch in the books is almost 20 years older than the Bosch on the TV show, and Titus, 15 years. and so that's a big difference. So I still think of the guy I visually created 30 years ago, 35 years ago, when I write about Bosch. But and probably more importantly, as I hear Titus's voice. His voice is so good and so Harry Bosch in my mind, and and that's probably more important when you're writing a book than the visuals because there's so much about dialogue
Mm.
and hearing someone and hearing a voice, and that's where the influence of Titus Welliver's really impacted the book writing.
I'm curious. There's two Mickeys in on screen. I'm sure there's only one when you write him, but Mickey, another character, obviously you've worked with, and like there's a
Yeah,
Matthew McConaughey one, there's one on the show, The Lincoln Lawyer, which people love. Very different approach. And I'm curious because it seems like Bosch is sort of singular in a way, but this character in two different variations. How does that live in your mind, kind of like?
I guess I'm so presently oriented that Manuel, who plays him
Yeah,
on Netflix, and I think he's so good, and he's more like the guy in the books, and in terms of his Mexican American origin and so forth. I mean, McConaughey was fantastic,
yeah, different
so,
idea
and
there.
it's amazing to have a film where he performs so well. But at the same time, I really feel that Manuel is the guy who's captured the character the best.
Yeah. Do you have another character? I mean, I know you did like Blood Work, was Clint Eastwood, and that's a character, and he's kind of around. Do you have another character like like Maggie Q, that you'd love to see a protagonist in something else? I know you're focused, right? I know Maggie Q's happening, so it's like, oh, another one on top of this. But is there one that's in there that you're like, I'd love to see them get their time from your MCU as it
Yeah,
were?
yeah. I mean, I've written three books. Well, fourth one's going to come out in October. Um, about a journalist named Jack McAvoy, and of all the characters I've written, he's the closest to me because I was a journalist and so forth. Um, I'm really close to that character, so I think that would be the pretty wonderful if any studio ever knocked on my door and said let's do a Jack show.
I,
But I am
I was
busy Ballard, and it is my focus at the moment. But that would be
sure.
a cool pleasure if some journalist based on me became a TV show.
So I only have time for one more. But this is an important one to me, at least. I think you talk about being a journalist, and these characters you've written work. They work the line of kind of justice, of right and wrong, of morality. We live in a very strange time for journalism, for right and wrong, for what rules and rule breakers. And I'm just
Yeah.
curious to hear you talk a little bit about, someone who studied this and lived in it and examined it, how you take in the current events of the world and the way this all looks, especially as a journalist too.
Yeah, I mean, technically, I haven't been a journalist in 30 years, believe it or not. But I have always felt I still am. And my books are classified as fiction, but I do a lot of reporting. I write them like a journalist. Even my style of writing is very journalistic, if you ask me. Um, so it's important to, and if I have any kind of calling card, it's hopefully the accuracy of what I write about. And I try to get everything from the forensics to the bureaucracy correct and the politics. And, we are in this a very strange time, divisive time. And I think it's my duty to try to capture that in some way. I never want to be, telling people how to think or telling them they're wrong, but I want to capture the accuracy of it and the contradictions of it that come up in day to day life for a detective like Renee Ballard or Harry Bosch.
Thank you so much, and continue doing great work. It's been an honor to speak with you. So have a great rest of your day.
Thanks a lot. Good luck.
Thanks. Bye.